Fantastic. Well, we normally have about 50 people on this call. I'm wondering with summer, if half the people are going to be on vacation or if people are going to be here.
I think half are on vacation.
What'd you say?
I think vacation plays a big role into this, especially with July 4th being around the corner. Even showings, I thought that was kind of a factor.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
it is what it is. The people that are here are exactly the people we want here, so it's awesome. Anybody going anywhere fun this summer?
Party at my daughter's is always wild and exciting.
That's good. Amani,
Yeah.
where are you going?
We're doing a cruise out of Rome to Turkey and the Greek island.
Nice.
Yeah. Haven't been to the Greek islands yet, so it'll be fun.
Oh, they're stunning. You will love that. I'd like to do a cruise in there too.
Yeah. Cruising is always fun.
It is, especially now that COVID's under control.
So guys, we live in a fun place all the time. We're down here in Hilton Head Island. You guys should come down and visit us.
It's a good idea.
I was just down there a couple of weeks ago.
And you didn't call.
It was a party fest. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, all right, y'all, I think we'll get started. Do we have John on the call today? His face is on the call, but I never know if it's his.
Hey, Robin, he's popping on in a minute. He's a few minutes late.
Okay. All right. Well, we will give him just a minute, but just to give you guys a little background. So we do this every single month. The last Tuesday of every month is kind of Business Builders Mastermind. This is all about real estate, how we can improve our real estate businesses and how we can kind of work together. We always have an amazing panel. This week we have Amani Wang, we have Chuck Zepp, and we have Tristan O'Grady and Rick Saba. So thanks, Rick. We didn't know you were going to be here, but I'm glad you are. Deb said maybe you would be here. So I'm really excited because this panel has literally, we have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of production on this panel. So I am excited to be here. Just a little background on me. My name is Robin Phillips. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. My husband, David, and I are a domestic team here. We've been doing real estate for about 12 years. We're top agents here in Charleston, and I have the privilege of just hanging out with some of these guys and asking them some questions. So super grateful that you all took an hour out of your day to learn and grow with us. Yeah, so I'm going to get started, and just to give you a basic outline. So we're going to ask each individual person a couple of questions. Each person is going to be 10 to 12 minutes ish. And then we're going to have time for Q&A, open mic, lots of good talk at the end. So we'll definitely have that time as well. So who is on top? Chuck, I've got you on top. Do you mind going first? You got to unmute yourself, Chuck. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Okay, how about that? I was trying to unmute, it wouldn't let me unmute. Sorry about that.
So
Yeah,
Chuck,
I'm fine.
you're out of Maryland, correct?
Yes, I'm based here in Maryland. I'm in central Maryland, about 30 minutes outside of Baltimore and about a half an hour outside of Frederick and about an hour outside of DC.
Well, you've got a lot of markets you sell in, I would gather then.
Yep, about 4 counties.
Jeez, that's a lot. That's a lot. Well, so just to start off, give me 3 words that describe yourself.
3 words that describe myself, I would say energetic, hardworking, and out of the box. I know out of the box is maybe that's just the thing that I need to use out of the box would be the three words probably best describe me.
So tell me more about that.
I run my real estate business a little bit differently than what most people do. Not really, I don't do things quite conventionally or like most people do when they get their license. I kind of came into the real estate, the game kind of around the back way through land development. I owned and operated an excavation company. And then through the excavation company, I got into doing perk test and kind of got a name for myself doing the perk test. And a lot of developers would hire me to do the perk test. And then I got into land development, and then from land development got into real estate with selling my own lots. And so that's kind of how I've always approached everything from a little bit of a different angle than most of the other realtors. I've always tried to figure out the out of the box solution with solving different problems or solving different things based on real estate. I also do a lot of things that a lot of other realtors wouldn't want to do, as far as estate stuff and as far as dealing with lots and new construction and different things like that. I've always tried to come up with a different angle and a different solution to kind of to get things done.
So tell me something that you're doing now that you would consider out of the box or different from what other people are doing that's working.
One of the things that I do is I go after and I do a lot of research on. I will look at some of these properties that are out there for sale, and then I do a lot of extensive deed research to see what the subdivision potential is, and then I will go after those properties and contact those homeowners and let them know what the potential is for subdividing. There's a lot of these houses out there that people don't realize that already have separate parcels associated with them. So then what I will do is I will a lot of times get them under contract, and then will take them to one of my builders, and then basically they will buy the property, and then they will sometimes rehab the house, or sometimes just turn around and sell the house. And then we will sell the lots. And then in turn, I would get the lot sales, and then they would also put a house on on the lots, and I would get those sales also. Another thing that I've been doing, we have a lot shortage here in Maryland, in the county that I'm working in. And some of the stuff that I do, even with my buyers that come to me and that are looking for lots, they say there's no lots out there, or there's no lots that suit my needs, or I want to be in a certain school district. A lot of times I've gone back and looked at some of these HUD houses or some of these foreclosure homes that nobody would buy. And I've actually, it's all a math problem. I say that all the time. Sometimes you just got to figure out the math. And a lot of buyers go, I didn't think about that. My realtor was just showing me lots, but I would look at some of these tear downs, and a lot of people were overwhelmed with the process. And I would tell them, I said, listen, I've got people that can do the tear down for you. It's X. So you just factor that into your solution. And a lot of times the builders will hop right in, and the builders, and I work with a lender, and they will roll all that expense right into the construction loan. So, and then I've helped a couple people get into the zip code that they wanted, the school zone that they wanted to be in, by, going and finding that old abandoned house that wouldn't sell, tearing it down, and then they're able to build their dream house. So it's a win-win for everybody.
And I think it's about having that right resources, right? Because if you don't know what the tear down would cost, if you don't know who to go to, it's, that's the overwhelming part, in my opinion, for the buyers, right? They don't know who to go to for help.
It is. And I run into realtors all the time, and they say, well, it's easy for you, Chuck, because you have a background in excavation, or it's easy for you, you have a background in perk test. It's easy for you, these, but I'm really not that smart of a guy. The only thing that I do is I believe in connecting with people that are a lot smarter than I am. So I go out and I'm a big relationship guy. Just you guys would laugh, but I don't even have a CRM that I work with. I don't have a lot of these things that a lot of these realtors are using. I just build relationships, and it works for me. So I tell these young realtors, go out and build a relationship with your engineer. Go out and build a relationship with a couple local excavators that do demolition. Go build a relationship with a builder. Go build a relationship with somebody that does septic and perk work. And when you build this for these relationships, not only are you introducing yourself that they have people and clients that they might want to buy and sell real estate, but also when you run into these issues or these problems, you have these resources, or you have these people that you can, help find the solution.
Yeah, interesting question. So do you feel like you're really niche? Like, do you feel like that's your niche and you stick within that niche and you've been successful in that niche? Or do you serve a broader group of buyers and sellers on purpose? I'm sure you trip over people that are not in that niche, but on purpose, are you cultivating any other buyers and sellers?
Right now, ironically, the land development, like I said, we are running out of land to develop around us, and it's kind of on purpose. As I knew I was getting older, I knew that I was going to kind of migrate into doing just basic real estate sales. So I'm actually doing what probably everybody on the call already has. I'm starting to build a CRM, and I'm starting to do some other things to attract more buyers and sellers. EXP has taught me how to leverage myself, and I love these panels because I'm able to learn from a lot of you other realtors that do things differently. So I'm working on doing some of the other things to kind of add in, but I do feel like that I have created a little bit of a niche for myself, and I also maybe spread my stuff a little bit too thin. It kind of works in a down market because I have so many different hats that I'm wearing or doing. So. But it doesn't work for everybody. I know some very successful realtors that all they do is concentrate on luxury, and all they do is concentrate on lots or new construction. And I kind of do a little bit of a wider variety of things.
I love it. So tell me, what is the biggest mistake that you think you've made in real estate, and what did you learn from it?
The biggest mistake that I see myself is not, I think, not seeing my own value. And I think some of the biggest mistake that I've done is giving discounts to different people, especially builders. Builders want to beat realtors up all the time. I've never stuck to my gun on the commissions. So one of the biggest things I've learned in the last couple of years is basically just learning my value and just sticking to my guns. And I probably say yes to too many things. That's something that's one of the things that I've had to learn is it's okay to say no and let some things pass on.
Yeah, I think that's really hard too. The newer you are in real estate, the harder it is to say no, even if it's something you should say no to, because it's, you need that commission, you need to, see if you can close that deal. And I'm interested in what you said, because I believe that as the demand is so high, the listings are so low, we are seeing in Charleston that some of the commission rates for buyer agents are being pushed from 3 to 2.5. We're seeing it more and more often. How are you providing value? Like when you go to talk to that seller, how are you really convincing them that you're worth more?
I'm just showing the value of what I can offer above other realtors and my knowledge that I've learned in my years of experience with what I can do in my out of the box type of thinking. That's the biggest thing that it's just my overall knowledge. And I've seen the same thing here in our county. DR Horton is a very smart builder. I've done a lot of land deals with them, and they kind of predicted the other slowdown that we had, or shift or change in the market. And they're now offering 3% commission to buyers agents here, and they're offering $2,500 bonuses on. So it's funny when it changes. Now they're wanting to pay a little bit more. We're seeing that shift or change too, but we need to keep it consistent, because we as realtors, it's easy to get beat up by the builders or get beat up, let buyers beat us up on commission. But we just have to, I think the biggest thing is educating people, because a lot of people don't realize our roles and our jobs. And sometimes I think maybe another mistake that I do is sometimes we can insert ourselves in too many roles that we shouldn't be inserting ourselves in, and setting those healthy boundaries up as a new agent. And I probably had this pattern as a new agent and trying to provide for my family, because I kind of quit and sold my excavation company and jumped right in with both feet, because that's how I operate. I'm all in. And when I jumped in all in, I had to really produce. So in producing, I probably did some things that I probably shouldn't have done, and I formed those habits of, and that those habits I just continued on. And it's with the help of, since I've come to EXP, I've really, it's been a whole growth process for me, because I've been able to see some of the tools and get on panels like this, which I really was never a part of in the 22 years I've been in business. And it's I get nuggets from these conferences that we go to. I never really saw the importance of that, and I really see the importance of being on these panels and going to these conferences, and basically just learning from other realtors that are have the same. And I'm also amazed. It shouldn't be amazed, but I am. I think my struggles are alone or my own, but there's a lot of other realtors out there that too are having the same struggles. And sometimes when you can talk through these different problems, you get more out of the box ideas, based on your conversations from sitting around the pool or wherever. I mean, it's been great.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate all of your insight. And I think one of the coolest parts of this panel is we all kind of get to meet each other. And so if we need help or we have thoughts or questions around, Chuck's expertise, then, we now know who he is, right? And all of our phone numbers are in Workplace, even Glenn Sanford's. So, always feel free to, reach out to this group and continue to collaborate. So thank you, Chuck, very much. All right, Amani, will you be next?
Absolutely. Hey, Robin. Hey, everybody.
Hi. So are you in Austin, Texas?
I am, and it's hot, and I turned down the AC and I'm still sweating, so.
That's all right, we can't tell. So give me 3 words to describe yourself.
Love my techies. And I'll tell you why.
Yes.
It seems God doesn't waste anything. I was at high tech for 17 years before going into real estate, and all my clients, I'd say 90% of them are, geeks just like me. And so I love that, because there isn't that fluff and extra stuff that we have to do. They just want results. They just want, numbers, goals. And I love that. I can speak my mind. I can see what they're thinking. There's no guessing on, oh, what are they thinking? What have I done or whatever. So I love that part of it. And so I've kind of built my business around that. Unlike Chuck, my CRM is everyone I know, and a bunch of them are techies.
And so how are you directly marketing to these people? What are you doing to continue to attract that crowd?
So at this point in my career, it's all become, repeat and referral. And I built it really organically right from the beginning with a CRM that started with maybe 100 or maybe 150 people that I knew, and just worked that CRM. They get emails from me. They get postcards. Yes, I'm old fashioned. Every single month they will get a postcard. They do get emails every 3 weeks. And then of course, once a year, God permitting, we'll have the social events around Christmas time and so on. So I've built it with just touching my database. I've never knocked on doors, never gone into open houses. I may have done 5 in my entire life. Just don't like the cold calling. I just want people that I know to connect with me and send me referrals. And that way that I don't have to reinvent myself. They know me. I just go do my job.
So how long have you been just repeat and referral?
The whole time. I like I said, I may have done 1 or 2 open houses when I started. It just wasn't my thing. Just did touching my database right from the get-go. My first deal was, a seller, a good friend of mine, and you just have to start with who you know, because they trust you, they know you, they
Yeah.
know your integrity, they know you as a successful person and whatever you've done before. And so it's that trust. And I think if you have people trusting you, they're going to send you referrals. And then once it starts, you just build on that.
Well, I think you've hit on something really important, is that many agents like you have had a life before real estate.
Yes.
So keeping that, you say they know I'm successful. They know that you were a successful person prior to real estate. So that transfers. And I think sometimes agents forget that they can ride on their success previously, even though it's not in real estate, to continue in real estate. And I have to say, you must have been extremely consistent with touching your database. Would you
Absolutely.
agree?
Absolutely. I think I just systemized it, and I do it religiously. Every single month, they're going to get something in the mail. And every 3 weeks, they're going to get an email. And then in between, it's either a call or a coffee or a party, some social event. So I do that consistently. You have to spend your money somewhere, and mine goes on postcards, and that's where my leads come from. But I don't do any other way of lead generation.
But I think it's that consistency is key, because I think so many people just, they're like, oh, I'm getting a bunch of repeat and referrals now, everything's great, I can kind of back off. But keeping it
Absolutely.
consistent is huge.
Absolutely, Robin. And I see it. It's kind of funny. I'll see like somebody send a postcard to me, and then I never hear from that agent again. It's like once in a blue moon, you'll get somebody trying to market to the neighborhood or whatever. And that's one thing everybody should do. The people you are living around know you, so market to your neighborhood.
Yeah, I that's a mistake I made early on. Absolutely. So tell me kind of, what do you think your superpower is? What do you do better than anyone else outside of consistent database?
I really boil the numbers down. I think sellers want to know, are you going to be able to sell their home, and for how much? And when I show my data, I'm literally I'm so right on with my numbers in terms of what we should list at and so on, and they like that. And I don't know, I just love data, and so it helps me in convincing sellers. I'm primarily a listing agent. 80% of my business are sellers. So numbers are important to me, and that's probably the biggest value I bring to the table. I show them how I came up with it, and it's not rocket science to me. It's very straightforward, and they see that.
Well, and I think also too, that probably helps you attract more people like that, because the people that love numbers are getting that service from you. And then they know other people who are similar, and they're like, hey, you need to work with Amani because she's going to break it down for you and really, provide that clarity.
I really think so. So it helps to just do one thing you do well, and let your raving fans talk about it.
I love that. So tell me, what is your biggest mistake in real estate, and what did you learn from it?
I was thinking about what would I say. So here's my, early on, we don't always trust our gut. And I think a lot of you on this panel probably would agree. You would say, oh, I know this sounds like a shady buyer, or this seller isn't serious. And then we take them on as a client. We take them on, we spend time, we spend money. And then at the end of the day, we should have trusted our gut. So I have not had, I would say in the last 10 years, so I've been in it for like 15 or 20, I can't even count, but maybe for the last 5 to 10 years, I've not had a client where we don't close or we don't find a property together. Before that, you spend your time on people that are not serious. You spend your time on people that are trying to cut your commission. And at the end of the day, they pull something from under you and you don't even get paid. So trusting my instinct is really what I've learned from all these mistakes. And we have so much, I don't know, gut feel about things, that we need to take those seriously when we are deciding how to serve people and who to serve. So
Have you ever fired a client?
I have, but it's been a while. And I think the reason is now I just don't want to get into that relationship because my gut feeling tells me I'm going to have to end up parting ways. Whether they drop me and try to cut me out. I've had so many at the beginning where they directly go, especially with builders, right? They'll just go and try to cut you out at the last minute or whatever. And then with sellers, I've had, some that aren't serious and then they turn around and sell it right after you've done all the marketing,
Yeah.
And so from now I'm like, okay, if I see that coming, I don't want to have anything to do with it. And so that's what I've learned. And trusting your gut is huge. And I encourage everyone to do that. Our time is very valuable. We want to serve those that are committed and truthful.
Well, and honestly, we can always make more money, right? We can't make more time.
Right. So it's the greed factor, I think, at the beginning where you think you need that commission and you're like, I'll take them, I'll change their mind, I'll work with them, I'll figure it out. And you end up not, getting the results. And so it's better not to do that and let a commission go down the toilet right from the get-go versus after you've done a lot of work.
Are you reading anything right now, business-wise, that you think you would like to share, or have you read something?
So the one little book that I always tell people, it's an easy read, Raving Fans. It's so simple, right? If you want to work by referrals, you want raving fans. You want people telling their friends, like you said earlier, Robin. So it's a tiny little book. And here's the thing, we are competing not with other realtors, right? We are competing with the service industry. If we just let that sink in a minute, they get amazing service everywhere they go, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a restaurant, whatever it is. So we need to be bragged about, so we need to wow our clients so that we do get that repeat and referral. And we need raving fans. We don't need anything else. We don't need cold call anyone. So keep that in the forefront. I've learned that over the years, that the ones that are super pleased with your job and results and integrity and all that, they're gonna brag about it. So it's not our other realtors that we compete against. Remember, it's the services, it's that relationship that we've built with that client. I remember that story about somebody returning tires to, what was it, that big store?
Nordstrom.
Yeah.
Nordstrom.
Yeah. I mean, why did they do that? Why would anyone take tires? They don't sell tires, but they're known for that, that service level, the wowing effect of to wow their clients and serve them. So that's what I try to remind myself. So yeah.
I think that's a great point. And to that end, I think it's always challenging as a new agent. You don't have that many clients, so you can wow them because you have the time. And
Right.
As your clientele builds and you get busier and busier, it's harder to provide that exceptional service unless you start leveraging. So I think it's,
right. Yeah.
It's that same conundrum where people are like, when do I leverage? How do I leverage? All that stuff. And I think sometimes the answer is different for every person, depending on where their comfort level is. I know we've only got like a couple minutes, but are you leveraged at all?
So I only have a contracts to close coordinator, and she's not even mine. She serves many realtors, and I love that part of it where, I don't have to manage people. I managed people in my previous career, and that was, time consuming, and I just didn't want to do that in real estate. So I don't have any direct reports. It's just me, and I love it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that way you've got that time and location freedom that we all want too, right? The fewer people you have to manage. So
yes,
awesome.
I mean, I love my agents and we work well together, but I don't want to have anybody, I don't want to be responsible for one more goal setting session ever.
I feel you. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you and nice to meet you.
You too.
All right, Tristan and Rick, you guys ready?
We're ready.
All
Hey, guys.
right.
Thanks for having
Okay.
us too, by the way.
You what?
Thank you for having us too.
Oh my gosh. No, we're privileged to have all of you guys. We really are. And thanks for taking the time, everybody. So, okay. So individually, give me 3 words to describe yourself.
Motivated, excitable. Rick,
That's
2.
That's 2. That's awesome.
I making things happen.
That's good. I'd say positive for sure, trustworthy and driven.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right. So tell me a little bit about your superpowers. What are you guys doing right now that you think you do differently or better than the people in your market?
I think listening, probably for me, is listening.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
I just try to listen, if I'm on a listing appointment and not talk. I mean, try to push egos aside and just let them go. When I show property, and I learned that, obviously been doing this 22 years, but learned from other agents and just let the buyers just go, just stop talking and just let them tell me what they want. I think that's really been a big key to my success is listening.
And when you're at a listing, do you have a presentation that you're going through? Do you have a notepad? What does that listening look like from like a formality standpoint?
Yeah, I've kind of got my own technique, but really it's, I do the research, of course, ahead of time, but it's really about them. I let them talk get as much information as I can. And, a lot of times I'm in price and everything, just what's important. And I think we all make a mistake to not do that more with people, right? We want to tell them how many houses we've sold and how many houses in the neighborhood we've sold and things like that. I think you got to throw that all out the window. At least that's kind of my approach over the years. And it's all about them and being of service to them, right? I mean, that's what the end game is. So.
Well, and Rick, to that end, both you and Tristan have a very strong reputation in your market. So when you walk in the door, in all likelihood, these people know who you are, they know of you. I think a lot of agents out there don't have that, that front end feeling of respect. And we know you sell a lot of real estate. So I have always used in the beginning a pre-listing packet, right? Where you send them that information up front so you don't have to talk about it. Have you gotten to the point where you're not using that, or are you still using something like that?
Yeah, so I have that, and I drop that off a couple of days ahead of time. So at least if they don't know of us, they have our background and things like that. And even more so to do that ahead of time. So all those questions are answered, and then you can really just focus on their needs. I mean, that's what it's about. So.
Yeah, I like that. All right, Tristan.
Yes.
Tell me about your superpower.
We were talking about this earlier. I would say, Rick and I complement each other very well, but one of my real strengths is negotiations.
Okay.
A lot of the people in our office and the people I've worked with in the past, they say that it comes naturally to me. I guess I had sales background before real estate when I was younger in England, and I enjoy negotiation. I always try to. There was a great agent in our market years ago, Lottie Woodward, who was listed as who's who in luxury real estate in one of the best in the country. And she was just an awesome lady that taught me about, we sometimes miss the point in these negotiations, and we lose deals because we don't link arms with the other agent and try to, we have some really challenging clients here, top-notch people, very successful, super wealthy, all that. And it's like the end game is the goal is to get to the end without somebody, getting upset or feeling it's been a bad deal. So it's really focusing on that relationship with the other agent. Co-broking is king, right? If you want to do the big numbers, it's not about, can I get both sides of a deal? It's never about that. It's how do you become a popular agent that they can all say, I know if I'm doing a deal with Rick Saber, if I'm doing a deal with Robin Phillips, it's going to be a good deal. So I've spent a good part of the last 18 years really working on my skills to be known as a great agent, and just not making it hard when it doesn't need to be hard. I think the biggest thing we often deal with is certain agents get wrapped up in these inspections to a point where they just ruin it, and you have to figure out how not to do that.
And do you feel like in this previous market, because I know things are shifting a little bit, but do you feel like in that multiple offer situation that gave you an edge because the agents may have said, okay, well, trust me, Tristan's going to make sure this deal happens, or we trust that his buyer's actually qualified, or?
Absolutely. The biggest agent in our market, they're back of the house people, and he's one of the biggest agents on the East Coast, if not the biggest. They love doing deals with us. The girls call us because we know how to make it happen. You represent your client as best you can, but you are also trying to get to the finish line without it falling apart. And there's a lot of ways you can do that, good or bad. But yes, absolutely. The answer is yes to that. So
tell me some of the things that you, because I know some of it is finesse, but what can you share? What techniques can you share that you think people could replicate?
Well, I was in a multiple offer situation yesterday over the weekend, and it finally got finalized yesterday. And everybody's in different markets. We're very fortunate that we've got about 2,000 agents in our market, and let's say the top 15-20% of those are doing the lion's share of the deals. So Rick and I know very well 90% of those top agents. So I knew it was a multiple offer situation. I'm representing a buyer. I immediately got on the phone to her, and it was a couple. My clients were a couple. They really wanted it. This was not a Zillow lead. This was these personal friends of mine that really wanted this house. It's not to flip. It's not to do anything more than to live in it. So I really focused in on her and let her know about their situation. And that personal touch at the beginning of the deal, I think, helped. And then just really extracting what, knowing there's going to be multiple offers, what is it that really could give me an edge without her giving up the goods, And one of the things was the occupancy afterwards. These people couldn't get out quick enough, but they wanted to get their money as soon as possible for their next purchase. So we, all those things did give us an edge. And but if I hadn't had that phone call at the beginning and really, and I knew her, but I didn't know her real well, but it all helped.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake, guys, to not ask the buyer, the seller's agent or the listing agent what's important to their clients. I think that's the first thing you've got to ask and drill down on that, because that's going to be the advantage. A lot of times it's not price. Everybody thinks, oh, it's price. I've had sales that have sold under price, and somebody gave them a free lease back for 60 days and they loved it. And we've had multiple bids and they were higher prices. And I'm like, but this is much higher. And they're like, Rick, we're great. This is a good price and we can stay here for free. So what Tristan said about asking, and getting as much information as you can, that's going to win the negotiation in the long run. So good point, bud.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So tell me a little bit about your biggest mistake and lessons learned.
So for me, my biggest mistake, Rick got me, so about 18 years ago, I jumped into the business. Rick had been doing it for a few years beforehand, and we jumped in and we were immediately successful. We did 200 deals that first year, him and I worked together, but they were nearly all buyers on my end. And I just loved the whole buying process, worked my butt off. I'm in a car driving around like a lunatic.
No assistance.
No, we had no assistance, and we did 200 deals. And it was insane. We were going in the office at 5, 6 in the morning, faxing stuff and all that. But what I've realized now is that if I'd taken a more direct approach to listings earlier, I would have sold a lot more earlier. I've really focused on that in the last, say, 4 or 5 years, and my volume has gone up tremendously. Spending a lot of time, energy, and money on listings up front pays major dividends down the road. Now people just call me. They're like, we see your stuff, Tristan, Rick, we want to list with you because it's, that's what we're spending our money on. And then what does a listing time-wise cost me compared to a buyer? It might be 10 times less time than a buyer that can't find a house or has gone through 6 deals to get the house he wants. So that I would say that's probably been my biggest mistake, not focusing more energy and money on listings in the beginning.
Yeah, that's a great point. Two things for me. Amani touched on this earlier. Your gut, that's huge. Every time I knew I should, repeatedly, I should never take this. I should have never taken this. I knew it. And it's always right. You're like, gosh, this was awful. So I've had to fire some folks, like that over the past. The biggest thing, guys, and I think this will help, I'm sure a lot of you guys are doing this now, setting your expectations with the buyers and sellers is so huge, and it's not even nerve-wracking. Sometimes in the past, what I've learned, I put a listing on and I was just so happy to get the listing and I'm not, there wasn't expectation set. And every time I call them, I'm like, oh, what am I going to say? It's not selling, it's sitting there. Now, when I have a listing or a buyer, I set the expectations up front. So it's just hey guys, remember we talked about this. We might have to do a price drop if we don't have, 10 showings in 2 weeks or whatever the case is. And that's been huge, or buyers hey guys, we talked about this. Remember, there's no appraisal. This is what we're doing. So I think expectations is huge, on anything. So that's what I've learned, but a lot more so.
I think as this market shifts, that's going to be even more important, because the buyers and sellers all they're hearing is what they're hearing from, CNN or the newspaper or whatever. And every market is so specific that I think as things change, that's such valuable information, because setting those expectations may be the difference between, the listing selling and not selling, because they won't reduce the price.
That's awesome. True.
So are you guys reading any books? Are you doing anything business-wise, pouring into yourself, growing and learning that you want to share?
So I'm not currently reading a book, but I met John Gordon probably 15 years ago. I've been a huge John Gordon fan for years. All his books have been inspiring to me. I don't know if most of you guys probably heard of him, but he is just an incredible inspirational speaker, and he's got plenty of great books. The first one I read was The Energy Bus. To get fired up and energized and do things the right way, any of those books, Training Camp, The No Complaining Rule, all of them are just well worth the read. As soon as you pick it up, you can't put it down. And he's just got an incredible track record with Clemson, a football team. I think he ended up being a big part of the Ritz-Carlton stuff. But yeah, I'd recommend him. What you been doing, Rick?
So all the books I read, and I read every day. I actually read in the morning at 5 till 6:30 in the morning. I know that's weird. But all my books that I read are entertainment books, biographies on musicians and things. But I do listen to blogs when I'm in the car all day. And they're all real estate blogs or market blogs or just self-help blogs. Right now I'm listening to On the Market. So it's real estate investing guys. That's one of them. That's pretty cool. And they talk about the different, they get different speakers in. So I just pulled up my phone. It's called On the Market. Right now I was listening to the crash predictors are wrong, and here's why. So, but that's it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to educate yourself too. I know David listens to a lot of vlogs and podcasts and things like that. And so I think that's great. So just one quick question, because I do want to have time for Q&A. So Rick, it sounds like you are extremely structured. Tell me what your morning looks like.
I get up at 4:45. I'm not a super late night guy, so I'm in bed by 10:30. I just kind of say some prayers a little bit, just what I'm grateful for, stuff like that. I actually write 5 thank you cards. Sometimes I do it first thing, and sometimes I don't do it before work. And then, so I get up before the family and our pets and everything and the kids. And then I just jump on a stationary bike and read these rock books. I'm reading Beast. It's on John Bonham from Zeppelin right now. I go through probably a book every 2 to 3 weeks, but fun. And then, then the family gets up and we'll walk dogs, breakfast, things like that. And then, then it's rock on, right? So what's your morning like?
Tristan?
My morning, we've got 4 kids, and depends on what time of year it is. Right now, because it's summer, the kids are all sleeping in. So this morning, I usually get up around 6, hit the coffee, take the dog outside for a walk, and it's usually just me and my phone, catching up on emails, news, and my mind doesn't stop even when I'm sleeping. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about a deal or thinking about something to do with real estate or whatever. So usually I'm in my mind organizing my day, my week. What do I now? Rick and I have started this team on Hilton Head. There's just a lot more to just selling houses now, and we're now responsible. We've grown to 11 people already in it seems like a short few months here. So now we're like, what can we do to help these people? How can we support them? It's just for me, it's a huge amount of responsibility that before I just had to worry about my sales and my assistant. And now it's like, all right, we've got these people. How can we empower them to be excited and do more business? And, just kind of reflecting back to the good. I always go back to the good about the companies I've worked in, and then the things that I liked and didn't like, for instance, tomorrow we're having a team meeting with everybody. I worked at Sea Pines for, I don't know, best part of 8 or 9 years. And it was one of the best offices on Hilton Head. And one of the things they did every week is they had a team meeting, optional, and, not long, 30, 45 minutes, but just getting everybody together
At a listing.
And at a different listing. So you can help your agents by bringing agents to their clients' home, and then just kind of spreading the news. We're going to hopefully have guest speaker David Gurwells there tomorrow to give them some EXP expertise, because a lot of these guys are new. And but just kind of, I'm in school, I get up with the kids, make them breakfast, all that kind of stuff. But now it's just a case of a bit more just real estate oriented morning.
Well, and Tristan and I communicate regularly, and I will say you are on social media like 24/7. Like, I don't know, you were in Aruba and I called you at, I don't know, it was like 6:45, and I'm like, oh shoot, he's on vacation in Aruba, and you're like texting me back and posting to social media, and I'm like, does he ever sleep? Like, what are you doing?
Well, social media, I mean, Robin, and I've always felt like I can go on, but I don't know why it is, but I can go on vacation and work and I am fine. I'm getting plenty of relaxation in, but, we have to be available. Social media has become just an awesome thing for real estate people and just people that need to advertise in general. It's very affordable, if not free in many cases. And I'm always updating things, monitoring how our sites look, and how, we want the best. I think one of the things we can tell these people is you want the best photography, you want the best video, pay for it, get it done right, because it's not good if it's not done right.
Yeah, and I know you guys, that's part of your branding and your reputation, and why people are calling you to list their homes is because of that photography and video. Would you agree?
I think so. Yeah, we feel we got the best people out there doing it with us, and it's a partnership. And it takes up hours and hours and hours of our time. But some people watch their phones more than they watch TV, right?
That's right.
So it's really important that it looks good.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much. We've got about 10 minutes left.
Thanks,
there's-
everybody.
Robin, thank you for everything you've done for us. You have been amazing.
You're the best.
Thank you. Well, it's fun. You guys are fun. Really fun. A lot more fun than me. So
Thank you, Robin.
my pleasure. Does anybody have any questions for Amani, for Chuck, Tristan, or Rick? Because I have a few if nobody does. Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Brittany.
Sorry. I was just curious. They were saying that they did 200 sales in their first year. And I mean, I was listening, but is that like, are you guys big believers in cold calling, FSBOs, expires, like traditional like lead generation? Or Like how exactly, like, is this coming mostly from social media? Like, what was the most effective way that you were getting listings?
So I'll jump on this for a second. So I think first of all, you have to have multiple touches, right? So whatever it is, I think it's got to start with your spheres. So everybody you know immediately. So if you get into the business or you change companies or you're with the XP now, you've got to let everybody know. You can't be a silent agent, right? So you've got to let everybody know. I mean, you're anywhere, you drive through Dunkin' Donuts and you're like, hey, by the way, here's my card if you ever, like, everybody. So that's the first thing I think. And then we just grind, I mean, we're there all the time. We're hitting the phones, we're mailing, we're putting ads in, we're everywhere we go. We want everybody to know this is what we do. And we're here to be of service. So it's not just selling people. Like if I can help somebody just, hey, my aunt and uncle are doing a deal up in New York. Do you have any comments? This is what happened. And they're doing it between friends, so just be of service. But you want to know, your whole sphere has to know this is what you do and you're great at it. And you want to be of service and you want to do that for folks. So that was how a lot of those contacts came. Just
it wasn't a ton of lead generation. And again, this is going back many years. So it was really before social media was even out there. This was, one of the jobs of a real estate agent, if you want to sell a lot of real estate, is being popular. People need to know who you are and what you do. And, at whatever cost that is, whether it's time, money, whatever, that's how you do a lot of business, right? We do a lot of videos, and we don't necessarily just do videos of people's homes. We do videos of communities. What does that do? That tells a lot of people that you're just a realtor, and you might pique their interest because you're doing it of a certain neighborhood that they're either interested in or they live in.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
So it becomes popular.
I feel like, so I'm a professional athlete, and I feel like the struggle that I'm having, I've only been a realtor for about 7 or 8 months, but I've sold 6 listings so far.
Awesome, Brittany.
Thank you so much. But what I'm noticing is that I feel like my sphere sees me in like a certain perspective, like, oh, this person's like an athlete, what does she know about real estate? And so I'm almost finding like more luck a little bit going outside of the box and reaching out to, like, I almost feel more comfortable talking to complete strangers. And so I want to start working my sphere more, but I think it's more of like a me thing or like a mental block.
It's probably a you thing, and you have to get over it. And a lot of the how you're perceived will be about your confidence, and you have to be confident in your new career, and you have to put yourself out there. There's probably a little bit of a warming factor where people will, think you're still doing that. But I was the same way. Everybody knew me as a restaurant and a bar guy, and they still do. But after time, when you prove yourself, and the fact that you've done 6 deals is great, right? 6 listings, that's great. And market those things. I've sold these, because people love success. And so make sure that, on your social media, friend everybody and their brother and their mother and everybody else, and let them know, brag about what you've sold, because it's going to reinforce to them that you're successful when you've sold something.
That's awesome.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the advice. You're
so welcome. That's great. Great job too.
Thank you.
Amani, do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And the fact that you're an athlete speaks volumes, because dedication, goal setting, achieving results. That's the best recipe for success in real estate, right? So brag about that. Brag about your listings that you sold, because listings are harder to get than buyers. And so leverage all of that to your entire sphere. Nothing better than athletes to send you referrals. We all know they make a lot of money and they know a lot of people. So leverage that, Brittany. You're sitting on a gold mine. You just started and you have all these listings that you sold. You need to be telling the world about it, and that is your sphere. Do not go to cold calling if you have such a powerful sphere that is sitting right there waiting for you to touch them.
Okay. So, okay. Yep. All right. You guys are motivating me. Thank you so much. Cause I feel like sometimes I'm an athlete and I do a lot and stuff. And I'm kind of well known in the community for what I do. I feel like when I go and I I advertise or I talk about it, I almost feel like people are like, will you just shut up? Like, we know, like, practice, or like, you know what I mean? So I think I just need to be maybe a little bit more tactful with how I approach my sphere. Do you guys call? I like what you were saying with setting up like the emails and stuff. I just don't really think I know how to approach people without coming off annoying. That's what I think I'm scared of.
Send them value, send them information regularly. The key here is touching them regularly. And Robin said that at the beginning. You have to start with touching your people regularly, whether it's sending them an item of value, whether answering a question, providing data, whatever it is that you want to provide them, but it has to be on a regular basis. If you sent them a card, they didn't even look at it, or a thank you note, or a happy birthday card, or whatever, it's okay. They don't look at it, but they remembered getting it. So it's that touch that counts so much. So regular touches is all I can recommend for you, because you have a sphere, and that's really important.
I know 2 people in my gym that just sold their houses, and I had no idea. And I talk to these people all the time, and I felt so dumb. And I was like, are you serious? But at the same time, you know, it's like, it's a lesson learned, I guess. I look at it as like repetition, and, you know, I just kind of look at everything very competitively like an athlete. And I look at the repetition and the practice and drilling, and, you know, kind of looking at all of the mistakes I make and analyzing, like, what do I need to change? What could I do different next time? So that's something that I'm noticing, you know, especially right now, people are moving because it's summer, and I'm like, how do I get in here and take advantage of these opportunities? One of the tactics I was thinking is a woman I know who is my friend. She sold her house, but she ended up selling her house thinking that there was no way she could buy a townhome. She wanted to downgrade to a townhome so she could eventually rent it out. Her realtor got her a rental, sold her house and then got her a rental. And I was just kind of like flabbergasted at how he let her kind of make that move when she wanted this other option. And now she's kind of like, well, oh, well, you know, live and learn. I'm like, no, like, you should have gone with me. In my head, I'm thinking like, I would have made that happen. I would not have slept until you had what you wanted. Like, I know I would have worked harder on that deal. And so it's like, how do I leverage those experiences to make myself look better?
Well, if I can butt in, Brittany, social media is gold when you have a great story to tell. So that's a great story. You don't have to name names. You don't have to do anything. You can just say, hey, you know, this is what happened, and this is how I would have handled it. You can tell stories about being an athlete. My social media touch campaign has all kinds of stories about me personally.
Okay.
And you know, when I fell off I was a gymnast, fell off the beam, right? Broke my leg. My coach made me do the trick again before I was allowed to go to the hospital, because I was afraid of it forever. So all of these stories about your success as an athlete, or how you overcame challenges, or what you're doing, all of those stories are fantastic. People eat it up. That's why people are on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, is they want to get into somebody else's life. So
Okay.
take that opportunity. I'm not very good at this. There are lots of people, Lauren Rocco, that are great at Instagram, but telling video stories on Instagram is how Lauren Rocco sells like 25 million a year. That's all she does.
I just need to get out of my comfort zone. Like, I know I can do it. It's just, I think it's the mindset, right? Like, I've worked on my mindset a lot this year. I've read so many books on my mindset and confidence and how to talk to people. And a really good real estate book for new agents, if you're listening, it's called Exactly What to Say by Joan Smith and Jackie. It's a good book. That's such a good book. But sometimes I still, with the social media, I just need to get out of my box, I guess, and just go for it.
Yeah. And as Brent Gove always says, the enemy is the inner me. The only person you're competing against is yourself. So if you get out of your own head.
I'm committing to making a video today then. There we go. Thank you.
We are at 12 o'clock, and I always love to respect everybody's time, and I appreciate everybody being here. This panel was amazing. I think we could have talked for another half an hour with you guys. So thank you so much. And we will be here same bat time, same bat channel, last Tuesday of every month, 11 to 12 on this exact Zoom. So thank you very much for everybody for being here.
Thank you.